That's exactly where my life went wrong. I was really different, and I knew that. I had just moved to a new school, and no one knew me, and no one tried to get to know me. I felt alone. I felt like my only friends were my bedroom walls. I tried after-school activities, and that failed badly. Every time I would talk to someone, they'd just shoo me away. It hurt, and I don't know why they did that. One day, I understood. I had to pray. If I asked God, maybe He might help me. So every morning and every night, I would take about 10 minutes and just thank God and ask Him for a friend. One day, a few months later, a new girl came to our school. She was different than everyone else. I went home and looked at myself. I realized I'm different too. Maybe that's why nobody likes me. When I realized that, I just dropped to my knees. I stayed like that for a good 20 minutes praying. To anyone looking in my room, I would have looked crazy, rocking on my knees and crying my eyes out. The next day at school, I walked up to the new girl and introduced myself. We slowly grew closer and closer and closer, until the next thing you know, we're joined at the hip. And every night after that, I would pray. I'd say thank you for giving me this great life and my amazing best friend. My praying started to rub off too. Soon, she started to pray. I found out that she had a difficult home life, and praying was an escape. I felt like I did some good, and just helping one person made me feel great. That led me to start community service. One day, while I was helping to pick up trash in a local park with my friend, we saw a light. That light was shining down on just us, and we looked at each other. Somehow we both knew that God was speaking to us, saying, "Keep doing what you're doing, girls." After that day, we both became very, very devoted Christians. Following God was part of our lives. I am Lydia Swindle, and I am second.
It ruled my life. Fear controlled me. I was the awkward kid who couldn't handle standing in front of the class to give a presentation. My palms would sweat, I'd be shaking. I'd be looking down my feet, talking so quiet and fast nobody could hear me. Walking up the long hill on my bus stop, I had anxiety attacks daily. What would they think of me? What if I fall in front of them again? Why am I such an outcast to them?
I had friends, but I was so severely uncomfortable and scared of them that I really ever talked to them. I didn't believe in the same things that they did. I didn't have the same morals that they did. I didn't believe in making fun of people for their clothes or their personalities or their appearance. I didn't believe in swearing or making inappropriate jokes or getting back at people. But I was too petrified by fear to do anything about it.
I could not tell myself negative things. I told myself I can't, no matter how hard I tried to tell myself otherwise. Encouragement didn't help. I had no motivation. I hated letting people down, so I rarely ever tried. I wonder why God would let me suffer this way. I just wished He would lead me in the right direction. I struggled with this every day, every night. I would wake up at random hours in the night and not be able to fall asleep because of my thoughts. I was ready to give up on God. But I kept hanging on. He was my only reason for fighting through the day, the only thing keeping me alive and breathing. So I prayed more. I tried to speak my mind more. Some of the people in my life left, but that was okay. Even though I missed them, I knew they left for a reason. I continued to make changes in my life. Eventually, I made friends through youth group and gained confidence through God. It was tough, but I made it. My name is Shelby Kane, and I am second.
I was always the girl with no friends. I guess that was because I didn't really like anyone. Everyone confused me, and I confused them too because I was different. I didn't have anyone to care about me. No family, no friends, no boyfriends, no one. My family dropped me off at my aunt's house when I was 3, and they never came back. I thought I would always be alone, and I learned to deal with it. About 6 months later, I turned 14, and our neighbors moved out. And then new neighbors moved in. My aunt made me go over to meet them, and I knocked on the door, and a boy about my age answered. He smiled at me, and I had never been smiled at before. I automatically knew he was different, and I didn't know what to do. I had never been a friend to anyone before, but somehow being a friend came naturally to me. A year later, you couldn't get us away from each other when we were together. We could talk for hours and never get tired of each other. When I was over at his house one time, he asked if I wanted to be his girlfriend. I said yes, and it was the happiest day of my life. We were dating for a couple months when I went over to his house, but I knew something was different because I could tell his mom wasn't home, and someone was always home when I went over. But I walked up to the door anyways and went in. He was there, and he looked at me differently than he had ever before, and I didn't know why. It scared me, but I just brushed it off. We went to his room to hang out like we always did, and we talked for a little bit, then he leaned over and kissed me. And then he kissed me again, and I didn't stop him. That set me on the path to destruction. After a while, I didn't get nervous about it anymore. It just became who I was. And he took our relationship further and further because I stopped caring. My aunt eventually found out what we were doing and banned me from going over to his house. But as soon as she would leave, I would go over and we would do everything all over again. A while later, I was caught in the school kissing him in the halls, and I got in school suspension. Then rumors started to spread that he was cheating on me. I didn't believe them until I found him kissing another girl. I broke up with him and more drama began. I was unpopular again. I had no friends, nobody once again. And the friends I thought I did have were fake. He even made fun of me too. He said he never cared about me, and I was broken from him saying that. I went home and I cried for hours. I went into my room to turn on my radio station to listen to my favorite music, but it was on the wrong station. I was about to change the station when a song came on. It said, "When oceans rise, my soul will rest in your embrace." I didn't know who they were talking about then, but then I realized they were talking about God eventually. And if there was someone that could be there for me through everything, I wanted to get to know them. I'm Clarity McMillan, and I'm second.
I was always a perfect child. Even through high school, I was considered to have it all. I was smart, athletic. I was even talented. I started for the basketball, track, and field hockey team, and I had the lead in the school musical. And to add on to all that, I had straight A's. My 10th grade year, I was considered the popular one. You know, the one everybody wanted at their party. It was all great until one day somebody decided to bring some drugs to the party. So I joined in with the crowd and I smoked a little. But a little turned into a lot, and drugs became part of my everyday life. It was kind of like I couldn't live without them anymore. I guess it was a way to escape my life, but I can tell you the side effects were definitely not worth the buzz. My grades suffered, and I had to quit one of my favorite things in life, which was sports, because my body just couldn't handle it anymore, and my voice was wrecked forever. Not long after my addiction began, a new family moved in next door. They had a daughter my age, and their mom was the pastor at the church nearby. Not long after they moved in, I became great friends with the daughter, and I started attending church with them every week, but I felt as though I was living a double life. Gang member by night, perfect church girl by day. The more I hung out in the church, the less I hung out with my friends. One day something clicked inside me, and I looked up at the sky and I said, "God, please show me that I'm still needed in this world, that I'm still worth something." And at that moment, I felt something inside me, something I hadn't felt in a while, hope. That night I went home and I told my parents everything. I got clean and I went to rehab. But for the longest time, I was in so much trouble. Nowadays, I spend most of my free time between church and school. But most importantly, I use my story to help teens like me not follow my same footsteps. My name is Skylar Miller, and I am second.